manufacturing. Today, we are joined by Mr. Sethu Madhavan, who will help us move beyond the buzzwords and talk about what sustainability really looks like on the shop floor. From smart automation and waste reduction to ESG and global compliance, we will explore practical ways pharma companies can stay competitive while contributing to a greener future. Thank you very much for making time for this LinkedIn Live session, first of all, Sethu.
Thank you.
And
Very
my
good
first
morning to all of you.
Thank you. And my first question to you is about that when we talk about the sustainability, a lot of people come across and say that it is more of a fashion statement, and the companies or the people with more money or probably more time are the ones who are moving forward with that. Means we are trying to break that myth and encourage companies to move forward to the green manufacturing and sustainable future. My first question to you is. How the pharma companies can actually create what kind of sustainability, what is the sustainability that is supposed to look like in the shop floor?
So let me cover the entire value spectrum. See, for example, if there is someone who's working in the R&D, their intent is to see how to improve the yields, how to have a better eco efficiency so that you generate less waste, you have a more desired selective product. So it all starts from getting more from less, and so that you don't generate any waste which has a debilitating impact on our ecosystem. So that's the way I see the entire thing. And it can mean as when you go to the shop floor, it means like how do I use less energy? How do I use less water to get the more product? How do I reduce wastages? And these
Right.
are the things that will resonate at the shop floor. And the basic things is also like yield monitoring. I mean, how do I get a much better yield? If I do an yield monitoring, if I see that there are more impurities, which means that I lose more material, which means that there are more material going into my effluent, which needs more treatment. And these are the things that needs to be monitored on a day-to-day basis at the shop floor to ensure that they are minimizing waste and ensuring that there is maximum value which is created in terms of products and services at a very minimal time and cost. I think this is where I would say that at a shop floor, it will resonate with many people on the shop floor in a pharma setup.
Right, right. Thank you very much. And I also want to know that means, most of the times this thought process that it is not possible to run a manufacturing, which is green manufacturing, only without a budget, it is possible. With a good budget, it is possible. To address to those kind of problems, I think majorly it's the fear and the fear that it's going to be a very expensive cost. I want to understand that how we can set the mind of those companies by telling them that how can they adapt to the practices without a major disruption in the plant.
See, it's very simple. There are two components. One you have a capex and one you have an opex. And the way to go is if there's a new plants coming up, I think everyone is going very smart in terms of sensors, having the right sensors so that you maximize your value for the product and minimize your energy utilization, water, power, everything. So the way this needs to be understood is you have a certain capex, you have a opex. And what is the total cost of ownership? If the total cost of ownership over some time is going to come down, then the way to take that view is to take a very holistic view. You invest in the right elements, you invest in smart automation, you invest in other monitoring tools which will help you keep a tab at the real time. You might have an initial larger cost, but over a total over the life cycle, you will have a reduced cost. As opposed to that, if you think, oh, this is something very high-fi, and I won't be able to invest, then it adds to your product cost, then it adds to your compliance cost, and it does impede your progress in terms of compliance and to meet the regulatory body's requirement. So this is a view that I think it is no more a choice. I would say it is a business imperative, and you find companies across scales. It's just not small companies. The new plants that are coming up embedded with these kind of smart energy meters. You have the other energy efficient system, and especially in a pharma setup, it is the utilities which will take the major guzzler of energy, and therefore you have all these smart instruments and more sensors which are coming up to track this on a real time and to keep a tab on these costs. So I think it is no more a choice. I would say it's a business imperative. It enables you to reduce the overall total product and stays and enables you to stay competitive in the marketplace.
As well. Correct. Correct. Very thoughtful. And any practical or proven methods that the pharma manufacturing companies can implement to cut the waste while improving the efficiency? I'm asking because waste reduction is usually also seen as a burden also. So means any of the practical proven methods.
I think one of the proven methods is to have a right technology also. Say, for example, you're doing a batch process. Now, if there is a certain demand or there are certain critical economies of scale, then you can also look at a technology transformation from a batch to a continuous one, which will enable you to reduce the cost and therefore reduce the waste. So this is one agenda. And also look at other specific interventions in terms of catalysts like enzyme-based catalysis, biocatalysis. Packaging also can be biodegradable. So there are in each step in the value chain, we can look at specific intervention which can enable you to keep the cost down and also be conscious of the fact that the environmental footprint that you're leaving behind is very very minimal, because one step or the other you will, for example, you might be doing I will just have to give you a live example. You might be using coal in your boiler right now. Now there are briquettes which have come up. There are other alternate fuels like LPG, PNG, which has already come up, which gives lesser one. Similarly, if you look at packaging also, it has now newer biodegradable packagings. And if you have something, on a device point of it, you have reusable pen instead of disposable pens. So every stream in the value chain, if you are cognizant that look what you're doing and why you're doing and what is the footprint that you're leaving in the economic foot, I mean, the waste footprint that you're leaving, then you will be able to look at circular economies. You will be able to think, how do I reduce, recycle, and reuse. And when I say this reduce, recycle, reuse, the other thing with the pharma setup is the regulatory piece that will always come in, and for which you need to have the right data quantification matrix to ensure that you know what you're putting in and what you're measuring is watertight, and you ensure that there is no deleterious impact on the product quality. So all in all, it needs a little bit of attention to detail, a little bit of focus on technological aspect, the new technologies that have come in, especially the digital technologies, is really very useful. If you're able to leverage these digital technologies, you will be able to get information in real time. It is at a very incremental cost, but I think there's a lot of value multiplier that happens with the use of these new age technologies.
Right, right. I must say that means, Apoor found the perfect person to talk about sustainability and green manufacturing. I can see the love for sustainability that you have. I want to tell you, Sethu, that we are from the, you and I, from the generation who have seen the awareness campaigns in the past, but companies not taking it seriously, and who have seen the impact of the waste. Reduction problems and all of that which has happened means, look at what the problems are in the society, like means the kind of unique illness, Crohn's disease, bronchial infection is so common. My niece, who is just 6 years old, she has to go through a bronchial nebulizer treatment every now and then with Duolin by Cipla, right? So with all of that in mind, we know that there will be very high regulations. It wasn't there before, it was only awareness. So we have seen the awareness becoming a regulation guideline at this point of time, and it is even more stringent for pharma. So, with ESG reporting and global compliance requirements rising so fast, what steps Indian pharmaceutical companies should take today so that they are staying competitive in the future and be future ready as well? And at the same time, they will not have an impact on their current production in the future.
So the way I see this, at least I've been a part of many initiatives. And the one is, of course, the board level, that is a quarterly one. But beyond that, to just percolate this down to the levels on the shop floor, there is somebody either at a plant head or site head also. There are these ESG governing committees where there is a cross-functional team that comes in just for you to monitor where are we heading in terms of all the barometers in terms of water energy, what are we doing. Simple things like where are we on the renewable energy. Today you see many companies looking at solar, wind energies, and they are quite actively kind of making power purchase agreements which will enable them to switch. So these are some of the things that is definitely happening. And in terms of at a board level, I think definitely that is already started. Every quarterly, there is a site head who's kind of having overseeing the entire thing. There is also something at the supplier side also. I mean, now
Correct.
it is an extended producer responsibility that comes in place. Therefore, you
Right.
also find that we are closely working with our suppliers and trying to see how much minimal impact that they could have. And for example, in the past, I have worked with many suppliers, and we still had, of course, of 85% were almost that ESG company. That 15% is still is what we are working on. So all in all, it needs a very broad-based engagement. One is the at the company level, at the site level, also with the extended stakeholders, be it the suppliers, be it social, how to impact social policy, how to have a sustainable procurement policy. At the end of the day, it is all adding to the cost. But I think if you see in a overall picture, if you are able to kind of promote eco-friendly technologies, then your overall cost is also going to come down. That much more, it is that much more meaningful, and it gives you a lot of intangible benefit in terms of interest subvention when you go to the market. When you say, "Look, hey, I'm doing this, all green technologies," or for example, I'm healing lives through green technologies. It could be as easy as an enzymatic technology, or it could be something that a technology transformation from a batch to a continuous, having more yields. So these are things that are taken note of. And at the policy level, you're saying more of supplier sustainability program. We do engage, we do invest. It's just no more transactional. It's more strategic. We kind of have invest in our suppliers also for them to also come to speed in that sense. So all in all, I would say at a site level, a board level, there are subcommittees which are heading in different environmental, social governance to ensure that we kind of fare very well in all the three dimensions to ensure that this is not just a fad, but this is the policy, and this has to be sustained as we go forward. And that's the way I think the companies are doing, having it at the board, the site level. There's a lot more awareness at the shop floor now. Even the engineering heads, the plant head, the production heads is kind of aware of what is the kind of amount of carbon emitted. Say, for example, if I have a boiler that is there, I know how much of coal that I'm using and how much of emissions, carbon emissions that I've done. What is now the next question is what do you do on decarbonization? Can I use briquettes? How much is being used? So these metrics are also kind of monitored on a month, and to see how what is the water, energy, how do I promote water neutrality. These are all conversations that has had right now. It is catching up in all the companies. I mean, regardless of the size of the company, I think these have all entered the parlance in the plant and across the board as well.
Right, right. Thank you very much. And Setu, one last question for you that I have. I know due to the technical error, we are a bit beyond by 5 minutes. But the last question is one single piece of advice that you would like to give to the pharmaceutical manufacturers, that what they can do for any slogan or any thought process on the ethics.
I would say convert your liabilities into assets. That's the way I've seen it. That's something, or wealth from waste. That is what I would say. Whatever it is, like you might today it might be a waste for you, but you can look at how to do co-processing, for example. For
Right,
example, if you're having a solvent which you're currently discarding, how do I recycle, reuse? So my way of looking at it is how do you convert your liabilities into assets? Earlier it was a liability, but you do have the technologies to convert it to an asset now, and you can also generate wealth from waste. I think the way I see this going forward is there are a lot more technologies that are available now, and the way next generation plants are going to come up is going to be more digital, with a lot of manufacturing execution systems coming in. Therefore, the amount of paper based usage is also going to have a quantum reduction. So all in all, it is going to be a more a connected world. The connected world is essentially going to drive a more circular economy in terms of reduction in waste, in terms of better compliance, and in terms of better cost. So all in all, if you look at the entire life cycle, I don't think going digital or having is something is this thing. It's an imperative because it enables you to stay competitive and enables you to have a cost leadership and have a better compliance, which means that you have a much better ranking with your financial institutions, and it also gives you a much better interest cost as well. So all in all, I think It's no more a fad, it is a business imperative in my mind.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Sethu, for sharing such insightful perspective on building more sustainable and pharma industry, and also for making time for today's session. Your thoughts on energy efficiency, waste reduction, and ESG compliance will certainly inspire many in our pharma fraternity as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And for everyone else tuning in, this session will remain available here on LinkedIn and on our YouTube channel as well. We look forward to continuing this conversation and seeing you at 7th Annual Pharma Manufacturing and Automation Convention 2025 in Hyderabad this October 8th and 9th. And just remember, the job of all the pharma manufacturers is not only the patient safety, but to also create sustainable green manufacturing and not create more patients. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you too, Setu.
Thank you. Bye.